Welcome back. This is episode 3 of the Angry Black Atheist Podcast. As always, it's Rakeem here with Dasha.
Hey.
JJ.
Hello.
Holly. Holly, where are you? Get here.
Oh, I'm here.
Damn it, you messed it up.
I didn't hear you.
No good. And today we
may be having early technical issues.
Yeah, we may be. And
That's why we have editing software.
Yes, we do. It's all about me using it correctly. And we have our first ever guest, Miss Naomi Kennedy.
Hello. I was just waiting, but nobody can see me.
She gets a round of applause, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Crickets.
Crickets.
Well.
You people are terrible. You people are terrible. All right, I guess we're going to jump right into it. We got a few stories to talk about tonight. So, first up, I don't know if anyone's heard of this, but a sheriff in Idaho and the lawmakers of Idaho, because, you got to get the legislation in on this, are trying to pass a bill that would make rape kit testing, like, get rid of them, basically. Because the police agencies say that they don't use them. They just don't use them. They said less than 10% of rape kits are actually used for testing. And the sheriff of Bingham County, I think, literally says that he thinks that most of the rapes are made up fiction. That women come in and they're just lying about rapes, and there's no point in testing having rape kits. There's no point in testing them because they're mostly lies. Because this is what we say about rape victims now.
This isn't a new development.
Oh, yeah, of course it's not.
That's been said about rape victims for as long as there's been rape.
Yeah, but now they're trying to make it legislation.
Well, I mean, we've already come so far with legislation. Like, men could legally rape their wives until the 70s.
Right.
So, I mean, this is horrible. And rape kit testing, this is horrible, but it's still, I don't know. It
isn't new.
Yeah, like, this is horrible, and this is still progress. Because, like, we have rape kits.
Yeah.
So a lot of them
Yeah, I don't understand why you would want to get rid of them.
tested. Like, a good percentage of them are used, but there's still, like, there's back test kits that need to be tested.
What?
Yeah, like, you didn't...
They're bad kits?
No, I mean, like, a lot of them are used, but they
backlog.
don't get...
Oh, okay, got backlog, got it.
Yeah, they get backlogged.
Okay.
Yeah, there are millions of rape kits in the United States right now that aren't being tested.
Right.
So, like, they're making these rates, like, it would make it where they're tested even less, but they're already not being tested much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's excluding all of the women who don't even go in and get rape kits, because what's the point?
And that's abysmal. That is abysmal.
Yeah.
Like, it's already bad enough that rape victims feel some type of way about going in and, getting help for what they have, because people won't believe them, or they'll be treated like quote-unquote sluts and harlots and all that stuff, and like they deserved it. But when they do go in, the implements that they need for justice won't be used.
Well, rape, by its very nature, is hard to prove in court because almost always there's only two people that were witness to the act.
Exactly.
The victim and the perpetrator. So
Half the time, one of them ends up being drunk.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody really knows totally what happened, even if they were sure.
And it doesn't help that the way we perceive rape mentally isn't how rape normally happens, because we like to think of it as in a dark alleyway with some stranger, but generally it's someone that the person knows very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think about because... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
So 1 in 4 women is raped or sexually assaulted in her lifetime, and like there are 3 women on the podcast right now. So the fact that there's a 25% chance for each of us to, that's oversimplistic, obviously.
It's horrifying.
But yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's why last week on the podcast I mentioned how I've never feared for my safety except for when I've been in a room full of men, and that's something that I have a lot of male friends, and having to talk to them about that, it's like they understand, but they're still so shocked when I have to verbally explain it to them.
I'll tell you, I'm not trying to point myself out, but I have a special feeling when as a male with rape, just because I am absolutely horrified. My worst fear is to be raped, penetrated, raped, that is my greatest fear.
It truly is.
It truly is. If I was going to prison where somebody guaranteed I would be raped, I would just kill myself. I'm not doing it. That's horrifying. Rape is horrifying.
Well, I would imagine the problem is, at least for getting people like this sheriff to understand, is most guys wouldn't even consider raping someone, but people who do tend to do average 6 victims. That's why the percentage of women who get sexually assaulted is so high, but it's a quite small number of guys that are actually doing it.
Mm-hmm. It's...
Well, I'm wondering, is this his beliefs? Does he actually truly believe this, or is there some religious entanglement with his belief about this, or
I don't know.
How does one person's opinion become so strong that it's about to actually affect the law?
All laws are just opinions.
Yeah,
I know, but I just feel like
they shout opinion loud enough until it became legislation.
Yeah.
But I guess it just bothers me that so many people may have this very uneducated opinion.
And it rules legislation. That's how most fucked up laws go into place. Someone has a really shitty opinion, and a lot of people jump on board, and then they throw it to some legislators, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do it."
He's doing right now.
Exactly.
Same thing,
I just felt like maybe the more educated opinions would outweigh the uneducated ones.
Nope, this is America.
Oh God.
I just wonder what the females, especially in this sheriff's department with this sheriff who's coming out and saying this, I wonder how they feel about this statement being made. If they believe if this is also their opinion, if they're have seen it and they're like, okay, yeah, we don't really need it, or if they've just kind of been put to the back and someone else is like, no, we don't need these, it's fine.
It would be very interesting to figure out. But I'm sure if anybody goes and looks up this story, they can look at the guy. He probably hasn't hired any females to do anything other than sit at a desk.
What about the females in his life? If he has a daughter, and yeah, there's a chance. It's slim, but there's a chance that she would get raped. I'm not wishing it on her or anything. I'm just saying, all females, there is a chance of this happening to her.
Not even really a slim chance, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's conditioning it so that his daughter cannot get justice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand, if so many, he says a majority of rape cases are consensual sex. Okay, but 9 out of 10 might be, but that 10th might not, and the rape kit will be necessary. What's going to happen to that girl or guy, whatever, who doesn't have justice because they get rid of them?
And they've shown that false rape reports don't happen at a higher rate than any other false crime reports.
Right, exactly.
So this myth that false rape reports are rampant, it's sort of ridiculous when most rapes go unreported. Mm-hmm. And I'm a member of Reddit, I'm sure a lot of people are, and like seeing so much of like the rape justification on that website, it like reminds me of how much of a liberal bubble I live in. Just because it's like the idea that people actually think that like women just get off on accusing men of rape. It's like no one. I mean, I guess some people obviously would enjoy that scenario, but not a significant number of people.
Yeah, we're not evil creatures, us women, We're not just going to go around accusing people.
See, that's the societal narrative, though. I mean, the societal narrative, just from our belief structure that our society is built on, with really, especially in America, with the Judeo-Christian beliefs, women are the seducers. They are the ones that are trying out to lure men to their dooms. They're sirens, they're Jezebels. So obviously if something happened to a woman sexually, she's the cause of it.
And that's not an exclusively American attitude.
Yeah.
Either. There's so many. I mean, worldwide, it's sort of the Madonna whore paradigm.
Exactly. Yeah.
If only I had that much power.
Like seriously.
You'd be surprised how much a vagina has power over a guy.
I think it has most of the power. Shit.
It's our motivation for just about everything.
Well, if you're into vaginas, like it.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Shout out to all my gay homies. We support you too.
Which they probably have just as much desire just for the opposite gender.
Yeah.
One of the things that Dash and Naomi may understand. So I have a friend who recently moved his girlfriend into an apartment with like roommates that she hadn't met before. And I was helping him move in, and like I saw the guy, and he's like a Pakistani grad student. And like as I saw him, I was getting my feel, and one of the first thoughts I had to myself was like, well, he doesn't seem that rapey, which is like just like a thought, we have to like constantly think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my friend and my roommate later, and my roommate's girlfriend, and when I brought that up, the guy said, "Oh, why would you think he's rapey just because he's brown?" And then me and and his girlfriend were like, "No, it's not because he's brown. It's because he's a man." And they it's like they didn't get it. Like they just assumed it was his like otherness of his brownness. But no, it's just because like he happens to have a penis, so he's in our mind we immediately get a little nervous.
Like I said before, the percentage of guys that actually sexually assault women is quite low. They just do it so frequently that it affects so many women. That's why the conversation is difficult to have.
It's like
because most guys probably don't even know a guy who they suspect would do such a thing.
It's like if you were in a parking garage at the end of the night and you see one person, and that's a coworker, and you know him during the daytime, but you would still have your phone in your hand just in case, because that is something that is still in all females. We have to be prepared. Like we always have to protect ourselves.
And see, of course, men don't get that because a lot of men don't get that because of course, not being female, not having to, experience this just because we're in a male-dominated society. But it reminds me of another story that I saw this week, where a 26-year-old male, no, sorry, he was 29-year-old student. He had been a student for years at this university, had been arrested for raping 26 male students at a university.
Wow.
Like, we are, like, men are, you're just as vulnerable. So you need to, get some fucking empathy, basically. Because it can happen to you. You think, you don't want to say, you don't want to believe these women or this happened because it won't happen to you. But it can.
And it doesn't have to be a guy that rapes you either.
Exactly.
Rape too. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen.
Yeah. It does happen.
I remember
actually,
that story a couple of years back. Well, not that. Yeah, it was a couple of years back. This guy reported a woman for rape, and nobody would believe him. But he said basically he woke up and she was on top of him, and she was just apparently a random female who broke into his house.
Yes, I remember that.
And no one would take him seriously about it. Like, he didn't even want to report it because he believed that no one would take him serious, that a woman came in and just raped him until he woke up.
And then when he reported, I remember he reported it to the police, and they said, "Why are you complaining?"
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And that's why when people act like feminism doesn't benefit everyone, it's like feminist ideals make it a society where a man is taken seriously when his, bodily autonomy is violated.
Right.
Because he's created... Because right now we create a situation where men are almost exclusively their sexual identities, which is unhealthy. But it makes it where we justify their rapes and say it's fine or it's great, or like men can't be groomed, like those young boys who like end up that their teachers like take advantage of them.
Exactly.
And like, because men can be groomed, like they're not men, they're boys. See, that's my own biased gender language coming in. They're not men. They're children, and they're being groomed by these women, and people don't take it seriously because men just want to have sex.
You're exactly right. And then when those stories especially with those young boys go to the news and stuff, it only really the reaction from the public is, oh well, they're going to enjoy it. That's what every young boy wants. You're a child. You don't no. Someone's taking advantage of a young boy's body, and that's fucked up.
And it doesn't matter even if he did want it, if he's underage,
because he's a child. I mean, yeah,
it doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
What was that?
That's pretty messed up.
What was that Adam Sandler movie that came out? That's My Boy, or about Adam Sandler played a young boy who was molested by his teacher, and they had a child together. It was a comedy, but we were laughing at it. And then when someone brought up to me that it was funny and everything, but if you see it in reverse, if you see the person who was molested as a young female, it makes it sick.
Yeah.
And then he's like, that's bias. That shouldn't be that way. Either way, it should be sick.
I didn't find it funny. Like, I was just that. And once again, even in that movie, it's played for laugh. Molestation is played for laughs.
It's like Forrest Gump. Imagine that.
Yeah,
with
just
first
about to bring that up.
Yeah.
If you swap Forrest Gump's gender, that is the most effed up movie on the planet.
Oh yeah, young man with AIDS takes advantage of a young disabled girl. Yeah,
Shoot.
fucked up. But see, and that's what's one of the major things. Just ladies, goddamn.
I remember I became completely aware of my gender. I was in my senior year in high school, and I wanted to go out with my friends. Unfortunately, the only other female who was supposed to go out with me couldn't go out that night. And I was going to ride in a car full of boys. And usually I ride in a car full of with these boys before, but she was always been with me. But my parents flat out refused for me to go. They would not let me go at all. They said, what happens if you get pulled out of police? What the police are going to think? And I told them I don't care what the police are going to think. That I knew these gentlemen, that I grew up with these people. But my parents refused to let me, a female by myself, get into a car full of boys to go bowling. Even though I've done it before with them.
Because you could either, in their minds, societally, you could either get taken into the woods and raped. Or, if the cops pulled you over, they would think you were some kind of quote-unquote slut, because you were in there servicing those boys because you were a female and they were males.
And I always felt betrayed by my parents, because I have an older brother, and had it been my brother going to a car full of females, there would have been no objection whatsoever.
Like your parents are just part of the same societal sicknesses that everyone else is.
I know, but growing up, I resented my parents for putting gender boundaries on me. I had a fire truck. It was taken away from me because I was told girls are not allowed to play with fire trucks. And I literally held that over my parents for the next 16 years of my life.
And that's why she keeps trying to burn down our house.
No, I do not.
Well, my niece is a very, very girly girl. She will actually not touch anything that she thinks is for a boy, which is probably an imprint from her father on it. But my sister, who's only a couple years younger than me, really tries to get her to be into Ninja Turtles a little bit, because all of us, when we were little, were into Ninja Turtles, because at the time they were their biggest. There were 4 of me and my siblings before my youngest brother was born.
That's
and
like
Chloe will just not have it.
It's like we especially on children, we put these we put boundaries, we put these gender boundaries on children so much, and then it screws with them when they get older. I was like, I'm glad about one thing. My 4-year-old niece, she saw dinosaurs when she was little, and she started liking them. So I bought her a large T-Rex, and now she's obsessed with dinosaurs, and that's normally considered a boy thing.
But she's not just obsessed with dinosaurs; she's also obsessed with ballerinas at the
Yeah,
same
like
time.
she just has her own thing. Like, it's not boy or girl. She just
Be into what you like.
Yeah, enjoying children, like enjoying being children.
Why it matters if a girl likes, a ballerina or a dinosaur. As long as you're out playing and having fun, especially a 4 or 5-year-old little girl, or or boy, either way. Why should it matter? As long as they're out having fun, living their lives, and not getting raped by their teachers. That's what.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a very important thing. Not getting raped by your teachers.
I feel like we're harsher on little boys' toys than we are with little girls. Because the whole, American masculinity thing has made it where, even a hint of femininity or a desire to pursue something that could be conceived as feminine is horrible.
Well, I gave my brother nightmares about, it was 5 or 6 months ago. 3 years ago, I went to Halloween dressed as Dr. Frankenfurter.
Which was horrifying for all those who saw it.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I shaved everything. It was awesome. Scared everybody.
I threw up a little in my mouth. Sorry. Go ahead.
4 or 5 months ago, I still have the heels from that costume in my closet. So to freak out my brother in front of my niece, I walked out in the hallway wearing my high heels. And he was quite creeped out by it.
Mine wore heels every day, senior year of high school. Heels, earrings, painted his nails, wore a dress every once in a while.
Where was this?
This was at my high school. The guy whose locker was next to mine, I'd known him since we were 5, and he just started wearing heels and painting his nails and wore dresses, every couple weeks to school and stuff. But I don't know. Nobody really caught anything. It's kind of oh, that's kind of strange. But, as far as I know, he didn't get bullied for it or anything like that. It's just kind of oh, you do you, whatever.
Call that accidentally, where people should otherwise be would otherwise enforce the gender norms, but for some reason they just don't.
Right.
What's great?
Yeah, it's awesome when people just forget. Just we don't whatever. Let him do what he do.
I'm supposed to be horrible to you because you're wearing
it's making you happy.
I watched a video the other day. It was from a Reddit guy on BuzzFeed. Apparently, he said women are always whining about their shoes. There's nothing worse than a female after a wedding walking with their bare feet on the concrete. So as a challenge, he got videotaped wearing heels all day, and he had to call it at 7 o'clock. He said it was literally the first few minutes of him wearing heels was the worst experience in his life for him. After whining that females were whiners.
Like, don't get me wrong, I take my heels off after a couple hours, but I want 100% wear heels to make my booty look like bam.
Hey, that guy's a punk. I wore some heels one time and I rocked that shit.
You wore mine.
Hey, all the girls at Halloween told me I walked better in heels than they did. So
Yeah.
It's a skill. It doesn't matter who can do it. It is a skill.
Some radical feminists would make an argument that by wearing heels, women are contributing to their own objectification. But as a non-radical feminist, I like heels because I like the way they make my body look.
Yes.
Well,
That's, I mean,
everybody wants to be appealing to the people they're attracted to.
And to themselves.
Well, that too, yeah.
I mean, whatever makes you feel empowered, be empowered. That's another thing. Even with like radicals on both sides of like that equation, they always put these limits on what someone can do to feel empowered, and that's oppressive in itself. Like, you can't tell a woman that, okay, well, you can't wear that because it's demeaning, because it makes you look like you're trying to attract the opposite sex and appeal to the opposite sex. If you want to look attractive and feel attractive, that empowers you just as much as that empowers someone who wears like a hijab if they want to.
It's frustrating, though, because we've got, kind of these two movements going on in society with this, love yourself, love your body, wear what you want, whatever, movement. But then you've got girls who are 12, 13, 14 coming home from school saying, oh, I'm not allowed to wear this shirt, or I'm not allowed to wear these shoes because they're distracting to, the other classmates and stuff. And it's like, we're being told both sides of the story. What are you supposed to do?
True.
Do I wear what I want to wear and feel good about myself? Or do I, wear whatever society wants me to wear and not be distracting to the rest of the world that I'm supposedly distracting, but then not feel confident and comfortable, so.
Yeah.
My vote's for the first one every time.
I agree, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's hard, especially for younger kids trying to decide, well, do I do what society, everybody older than me in society is telling me to do, teachers telling me not to wear this, whatever, or, do I just forge my own?
It's the worst age bracket to be doing those things as well, too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going back to, grooming the young boys. It's kind of the same thing. We're grooming children to wear things that, we, or not us, but, people older than us or whoever deem acceptable when, when they're that age, maybe it's not just that's acceptable anymore. It kind of just prevents change also.
Yeah.
And see,
I
then
had my first backlash. I had my first backlash on my fashion choices this year, which was really surprising for me because I'm 21. So you'd think it would have happened earlier, but I dressed fairly modestly in high school because I felt like I couldn't dress like how I wanted to. But I have 2 fairly large thigh tattoos, so in the summer I wear shorts basically always, like fairly short shorts, because they cover. I mean, they're fairly high up on my thigh, and if I want to show them up, like, I'm only barely wearing pants. And I'm a fat woman, so it's not like I'm enjoyable to see to the general populace, but I'm doing it for myself. And my parents have had this sort of interesting reaction to it, because they're like, how could you go out like that? It's like, well, I'm not indecent, and I want to. It's like, well, people will stare. It's like, well, good.
They can see my tattoo.
They have a problem with it. Fuck them.
I have that problem too as a bigger woman, that I refuse to show my arms as much because I'm very self-conscious about it, and I'm getting to the point that I love clothes, I love fashion, and I'm restricting myself because of what I think other people will say. So I'm getting to the point that society has pushed me to the point that I don't care anymore, and I'm going to start making bolder choices with what I wear and how I present myself when I'm not at work. because it will make me happy.
And being the good brother that I am, anytime she starts to get I wonder what people look at me, I say fuck everybody else, because we gonna still be cool as hell. We can go outside. We can both go outside dressed in underwear, and I can go out wearing a fucking Speedo, and still we look like heroes.
And we will probably do the hero pose.
I will do the fucking hero pose, man.
Should I bring up your last Halloween costume?
Oh yeah, I did the hero pose all that night, junk and all. That was for America.
America, fuck yeah.
He really was America. He had an eagle head.
Nice.
And red, white, and blue boxers.
Good
and
Lord.
the American flag as his cape.
Which is just knowing me is just completely and totally ironic. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So JJ.
Yes.
Heard you got a visit from some friends earlier.
Yes, I did. It was quite entertaining. Kind of needed it at the time because I was doing my taxes, because I do fun things like that on a Friday.
I mean, you are
But
65 years
doorbell
old. I mean, that's what old people do.
Oh, fuck you, Rakeem. But the doorbell rang, and I went to the door, and there's these two guys from the Church of Latter-day Saints, dressed all nice in their little dress clothes. And I immediately started laughing, and they were completely confused.
They always.
I saw their little name tag and knew exactly where they were from immediately.
They're always so cute.
Yeah, they're nice
Mormons.
people. Mormons are almost universally nice.
I adore Mormons. Like, oh, I love seeing them in their little shirts with their bikes and their little books. I love a Mormon. Love a Mormon. Never met a Mormon I didn't like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That helps that we have a small sample size in the state, but I love Mormons.
They're just so saccharine sweet. It kind of pisses me off.
I have a professor who's also a fairly good friend who is from Montana, and out west they got a whole bunch of Mormons. And he was talking about how living in Montana and being non-religious, and living in the South being non-religious, he would always pick out west because even if you live in a Mormon majority town, they're way more libertarian about it. So as long as you're not trying to stop them from doing their Mormon activities, they want you to convert, and they're not shy about that. But they have they're not trying to. There's not as much social repercussions for not being in the faith, except for in the radical communities. But they're always statistical outliers.
Yeah. Well, I explained to these Mormon people that they probably didn't want to talk to me. Of course, they still tried, because that's the whole point of them ringing the doorbell. Because I'm an atheist. And they're like, oh, and we talked for a few minutes, and I told them I was kind of busy doing my taxes, of course. Great fun like that. And they asked a few different times if they could come back. I kind of tried to defer them from it, because my brother probably wouldn't be as nice to them as I was.
What I've learned through talking with the few, little Mormon missionaries that I have is, once again, they're sweetest people on the planet. However, when you start to get into their beliefs and some of the, let's just say, more controversial beliefs that
Magic under?
Yeah, and the whole dark skin is the curse of God thing.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore, because the government got a little wary of that.
How does that song go from the Book of Mormon? It's like, I believe in 1978 God changed his mind about black people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, most of them, especially the younger ones, don't even know any of that stuff. Like, they just don't know it. So when you bring it up, it's like, we didn't know that. Let's go. We want to go ask someone, or
Oh, the younger missionaries, 100%, they know it, but they are trained to pretend like they didn't.
Oh, okay. They're good at it.
The Mormon missionaries, like the schools they go to before they are sent off on their mission, is crazy. Like, it's super intense, and they become very well versed in their faith. And a lot of the time, they are directed to steer away from certain questions, like where you're not going to talk about their underwear, you're not going to talk about getting your own planet if you're like super good at being a person.
Wait, that's a thing?
Shit.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh. How do they switch?
Yeah.
I don't know
If you only men, women.
These Mormons.
Oh no! Oh y'all! Oh, let's talk about Mormonism, y'all.
Let's talk about Mormonism. Yeah.
Studies expert. Okay, so Mormons have different layers of heaven, and they don't really have a real version of hell. So Mormons, like, the worst place you can go is the outer darkness, and it's like not really hell. It's like sort of hell, because they think that no matter what, like, you go to like a version of heaven. It gets better with how good of a Mormon you are.
Okay.
But if you're like King Kamehameha Mormon, like, you do everything right, you and your wife have a bunch of spiritual children, because like there's spiritual children and then you have real children so that the spiritual children can become children and have souls and eventually go to heaven.
Okay.
You get your own planet. You get your own planet that you sort of rule over. And only men, because women, we get the gift of childbirth, is the argument, because men are deprived of that. So since women can have children, we don't get planets. And
what a
spiritual mother for the new planet.
That's a shit deal right there.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I want a planet.
Me too.
That's why, I mean, I
human
don't want
larva.
to Mormon heaven. I want to go to Muslim heaven if I get to pick. Muslim heaven's the best heaven because, so in Islam, like, instead of, like, Christianity has sort of weird ideas about sex where, like, if you like sex too much, then you're probably doing it wrong. Like, because sex is, like, they have lots of weird ideas about sex. But in Islam, sex, it's a great gift. And the only issue with sex are, like, the fluids that come out of it, like the ejaculate and stuff like that. So in heaven, one of, like, the key things that people get is, like, perfect sexual pleasure, but there's no ejaculating or any other, like, impure fluids. And then you can eat as much delicious food as you want, but you don't defecate or urinate. So there's no, like, pollution of the body. So it's basically, like, Muslim heaven is the place to go, unless you want to do New Game Plus, and then I guess you could be like a Hindu.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with reincarnation. I'm going with the wheel. So give me something good.
I don't want to be a person again. I don't think.
Knowing my luck, I'll come back as a herpy.
I could deal with perfect food and perfect sexual pleasure, though.
Yeah,
I can,
You need some of those. You need some lubrication, though. You can't that just sounds dry.
No, okay. You're missing the perfect part.
I'm sure in heaven they could provide for that problem.
In Muslim heaven, they have lube.
But does this all apply to females too? Because they tend to not treat females as people.
If you go strictly by scripture, the Quran is much more generous to women than the Bible is.
It really
I know
is.
that much.
Yeah.
In the early 20th century, Muslim women had a lot of autonomy. It's only with sort of the imperialism and a lot of the revolutions of the 1970s that things have become super strict for women in Islam.
Right.
Yeah.
There are videos from, like, the 1950s of, like, Egyptian political leader or someone, and they were talking about all women having to wear hijabs, and everyone in the crowd laughed because that was such a ridiculous idea. Like, who would make women wear hijabs?
I can rock that.
That's the thing. A lot of people don't know. Like, in the Quran, it actually gives a lot of the women you just get, like, passing mentions of in the Bible get like revered in the Quran. Like Eve.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that, since only one woman is named in the Quran.
Well, yeah. Right. Yeah, because everybody's referred to as wife of, and it's Mary, right? Miriam. Like
yeah, mother of Jesus. Yes.
But I mean, her stories are pretty. They give her a lot of oomph.
Yeah. And I mean, how Muslims treat traditional Christian and Jewish figures is also super interesting.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe that prophets can sin. So if you take the story of Joseph was the second youngest child of Israel / Jacob, and he went to Egypt, and his brother sold him as a slave to Egypt. He worked in a man's house, and the man's wife accused him of rape. The man believed him, and he went to jail.
Right.
In Islam, no one believed that Joseph raped the woman because he was so pure and so good. But Joseph, because he was he had bodily perfection, he was so beautiful, he agreed to go to jail so that he would not tempt any other women.
So Joseph, Jojo was so sexy, so prophet sexy, that he was just like, these women just can't handle all this, so I need to go to jail.
Yeah, like removing himself from society so as to not tempt women.
I've had that thought before.
Ew.
Okay, let's say, no one went with me on that one. All right, fuck all of you.
No.
But no, that's insane though. That's pretty insane. But so back to the Mormons though. You were informing us of Mormonism.
Yes. We talk about Mormons being really nice, but unfortunately, I think a lot of that is our own bias from not being around Mormons. Because I don't know if y'all have heard about this. There was a Mormon teenager, a teenage lesbian who recounted, like, she went through this horribly abusive reparative therapy in Utah to make her straight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much y'all have heard about it.
Yeah, I've actually read it. I've discussed it on another podcast earlier. Angry Black Rant, check it out. For any listeners out there, go check out Angry Black Rant. But yeah, I've read about it. She actually has a book that's coming out. Well, actually, it's out now, called Saving Alex. But basically, as she was saying, the girl, because she was a lesbian, were sent by her Mormon parents to what was basically a kind of a re-education camp, and where she was basically kept in captivity for about 8 months, where she was basically tortured. She was forced to carry stones, a backpack full of stones, 18 hours a day, and this so she could, quote unquote, feel the burden she was carrying by choosing to be gay. That they forced this child to carry these rocks 18 hours so she could physically feel the burden of being gay. Like, that's crazy. Like, poor Dash over is like about to cry.
Being gay is a choice. That's what I don't really understand. Like, I would think that at this point, with how much, it's been talked about, especially in, the past 10, 20 years or so, that people would understand that you don't just wake up one day and say, like, I think I'm going to be gay from now on. Like, you can't just force them to carry a backpack of stones to fix it.
See, the problem is, especially with the religious people who are really like gay, anti-gay focused, is if you admit that being homosexual is not a choice, that it's something that naturally happens to some people, you would have to admit that God created homosexuals, right, and that's not a human sin, but a natural part of God's plan, and that's something they cannot cope with.
Right.
isn't it their problem, not ours, that they can't cope with it? Like I'm
yeah, it's definitely
yeah.
their problem, not
I'm
the rest
just,
of them. But
I'm just upset. Okay, I'm just tired of people forcing. If it goes against what they believe, they have to force everybody to do what they believe. It's just tiring.
yeah, I mean, what this poor girl has gone through, and I'm going to talk about this from time to time on the podcast because it's just something that was real close to me. This sort of thing happened at my school. I mean, Dasha knows about it, and I've told other people about it, and it's been on other podcasts. But this is the type of punishment that went on at the high school I went to, which was a Presbyterian reform school, very strict. And when you would get in trouble as part of your punishment, just like she was forced to carry stones, they would make students do something they call rock pile, which you would carry these big heavy boulders back and forth up and down a hill and stack them. So basically you would learn. Like, this was part of your learning. This is part of your conditioning, part of your punishment. This is what happens when you do wrong. And mostly wrong was just disagreeing with what they were telling you was right. And I mean in French Camp's case, and that's the name of the school. When I was a kid, like you got kicked out of school just completely for being homosexual. I mean, you would get punished at first because that's not right according to them. And when that didn't work, then you would get kicked out of school. And what always would seem weird to me, because I didn't get a chance to talk to most of the people who came back, but some of the homosexual students that came back quote unquote fixed, they would disappear for 6 months and then come back and it was like nothing ever happened. They were quote unquote fixed and straight, and the Lord had stepped into their lives and they weren't gay anymore. And I like I said, I never questioned it in school what happened to those kids in those 6 months. But it makes me wonder.
I honestly think it should be illegal to have those camps.
Re-education camps?
Yeah, it should be illegal.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
they are legal in a lot of states.
Concentration camps.
It should be a national law. Like,
people would lose their minds though, because immediately, if the government stepped in and said, okay, these camps they're wrong, they're basically torturing children mentally, physically, that sort of thing, and you shouldn't do it, people would flip their shits and immediately go, our government should not be trying to legislate religion. These people are just trying to exercise their religious freedoms, blah blah blah.
It's not
religion, and leave them alone.
It's torture.
Well, and this girl, Alex, her parents brought her to some unlicensed, friends who were just kind of doing it. Mm-hmm. From what this article says, they just brought her over there. They weren't licensed or anything, and they just, made her do this for, 8 months? So even if, there is a national law, people can just, bring them over to a friend's house who has the same beliefs and say, okay, well, just, keep them in your basement for a little while. Mm-hmm. Go from there.
It seems like, to me, like, by their own philosophy, this should be contrary to what they want to do, because wouldn't making her do all physical activity be something that they would put on a boy, since that's what their vision of masculinity is? To be super tough and strong?
Yeah, but see, this is not about being tough, this is about being punished. Like, they don't want.
Well, I'm not saying I expect logical consistency.
Yeah, they don't want her to be strengthened by this. They want her to break.
Yeah.
I would argue that they want her to have the moral strength to avoid her urges. Because I have some friends. Well, friend is not the term I should use. I have some acquaintances who think that being homosexual is the same thing as, like, struggling with alcoholism or with other sexual urges, like to be promiscuous or whatever. That if you happen to have that, that's just something you have to live with, and you need to overcome it. And that it's not fun and it's not fair. but that's just everyone in life has some things that tempt them, and that happens to be yours.
Yeah. My sister, my religious sister, has a term for that. It's their not persecution. It may be persecution, but she has a belief that everybody has to go through their own personal, basically temptations and punishments from God. To it's not Dasha though. I'm just
it's not me.
Not that sister, but everybody has to go through their own punishments, their own temptations from God, and they have to get through it, and they just have to live with that and get through it.
That is not true.
Yeah, no, of course that's not true.
I'm just saying, like,
no. Kim wasn't saying it like he believes it.
I know, but it's just that she knows people. Like, she knows people who they may not have a perfect life, but they lead a charmed life, or they may not have as much difficulties as she has. So by that logic, she automatically just proven herself.
But here's the thing: she would say that they have like more charmed, maybe more successful lives than she does. They are either going to go through their own set of issues, or they are having their own set of issues that can't be seen. Like they may have more money or something, but they're being abused or something like that. Like
that's like just wishing badness of people who actually are going all right. Like,
well, it's
in a way you're wishing unfortunate events to happen to your friends who are doing better than you because you're having a bad time.
But see, to her, she doesn't see it as wishing, like saying, "Oh, they must be going through something," or they because everybody has to go through something on their own. They're going through something. They're going to go through something. To her, it's their test, like because they're going to come out of it stronger people and stronger, in most cases, quote unquote, with God or in Christ. So to her, it's not like these things are not bad things per se. They're just difficult things that God wants to test you with.
I'm kind of happy I was not present for this conversation.
Well, you can tell her that my life got exponentially better after I stopped believing.
That's a big issue I've had to deal with. That people there's some people I'm close to. I love them to death, and they're religious, and they think that me being an atheist is like me suffering. Like me not believing God is something I'm suffering from. But they don't realize that inside, like outside stuff, there's no control over that. But inside, I am a more complete person than I was when I was religious. I'm more well balanced, like mentally person than I was when I was religious. And in a very big way, I'm happier than I was. I don't feel guilt. I don't feel like God is punishing me. I'm free. To put it in a simple sense, I feel free.
I completely understand that. When I was a believer, although I was never a strong believer, I had massive battles with depression, and since I don't believe anymore, I am a lot more successful in my fight. It gets bad sometimes, but it's nowhere near what it was when I was still believer.
And see,
still a believer. This
girl, Alex is her name. Of course, she managed to get through all that, and if I'm not mistaken, she's of course not a believer in the Mormon faith anymore, and she's fully accepted who she is as in her sexuality, and she's a lot happier, of course. And I don't think a lot of, and I'm not saying all, I'm not putting this out there for all, because there are many religious people who would understand, but I think for a lot of the really staunch conservative religious people of any faith, they don't get that someone can be happy and not be under their belief structure and under their faith. Basically, you can't be happy in yourself.
I feel a lot of pressure because, so I'm bipolar, and I have a lot of anxiety issues, and sort of having suicidal thoughts is just basically the default of my, like, how I exist. I don't, like, I'm well medicated more even now than I have been. Well, other than certain life issues, I would be more even now than I normally am. And it almost feels like I feel guilty, like I'm a living example of what they think is true, because it's like, that's one of the things I tell myself if, like, it's an especially bad day. It's like, well, if I kill myself, then I prove them right, that I'm, like, broken without God. Mm-hmm. And that's pressure that I wish I didn't have. Like, it's, and, my depression and my bipolar things don't come from a lack of faith. I had them when I had faith.
Exactly.
So, I thought mental illness could be a weapon used against me. It hasn't been thus far, but I sort of statically prepare myself for that.
Right. I went through something very similar in the past couple of years with anxiety and depression and suicide tips and all that fun stuff. And I'm glad it hasn't happened for people using that against you as an example of why they were right. But it did come up during my especially struggles, and Dasha can vouch for me on this. When when I was in my deepest, darkest places, some of the people close to me were just like, well, maybe you should, maybe the reason you're feeling like this is because you don't believe, and life would be easier if you just believed in God, and that's all your problem really is. You don't believe enough, and that just drove me way deeper and darker.
Yeah, it never helps.
Yeah.
They think they're helping you, but it just makes things worse. Because they don't understand what it's like to be inside your head, and they can't. It's not their fault. They are trying to help you, and when people say those things, I try and remember it and repeat it to myself. They are trying to help. They just don't understand.
I just find it interesting that the first thought to some people is, oh, you need, more religion in your life. Me, I'm not atheist. I'm baptized Catholic, but I don't necessarily, I don't consider myself completely Catholic or whatever, but I've got my beliefs. But, like, I'm not going to listen to, someone come to me with their problems, and the first thing I say is, well, maybe if you had some more Jesus in your life, this wouldn't be happening. I just find that hard to believe that that's what someone's suggestion is going to be, right off the bat. When something very serious is clearly going on in their lives, oh, just get some Jesus, go to church. That just doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't seem right to me.
Just doesn't click.
Let's see, how did my father put it? When you're right by God, your life goes right.
That's, and pardon my language, that's some prosperity gospel bullshit. And that's one of the things I hate about way a lot of churches have gone through the prosperity gospel. And for the people who don't know what that is, basically the belief that if you believe the proper way, good enough, and everybody's proper way is different, church to church. But if you believe the proper way, everything for you will go correctly. And if things are not going well for you, it is because you're not believing strong enough, you're not believing the right things, and it's your fault.
I think what got me through my depression stage in my life was I felt like as soon as I got past this point that things would get better. Like, I kept making myself believe that if I get past this point, if I get past this day, this month, this year, that next year will be better, or the year after that will be better, or some point, something is going to work out in my favor. And little by little, it did. And I honestly have to say, it was by myself pushing myself to climb and climb and climb that I got out of that dark place. And because I felt like nobody in my family could help, none of my friends could help. I can only help myself, and if I help myself, then I'm strong enough to face anything.
No, you can't do that. You can't be strong enough without, you're like, you can't be strong enough if you don't believe right.
But my belief, and I'm a person who has a little belief in a God. And my belief was that God helps those who help themselves. And by that means, when I was born with the capability to do everything myself. Like, if God really did constantly help people 24/7, then he would be tired, let's be honest. He or she would be tired. And I feel like, and I also felt like if God wasted his time trying to help me, then there is somebody out there who either died because I was too selfish to deal with this myself, or there were just bigger problems out there.
Your God is very limited.
Yes, and my God is very vengeful too.
Yeah.
But that was the God I was raised with.
Yeah. You can't do a lot, unfortunately, it seems.
Well, I hate that. I think God is omnipotent and can do everything all the time, but then I have free will. So, yes, it kind of contradicts itself. So I just always had this feeling that there are people who are like third world countries needed help more so than I did.
See, okay, and that became a problem with me back with on the prosperity gospel thing is, well, how do you explain these people in these really poor countries, or even in America that are extremely poor, that all they have is their faith? They're not believing enough. They're not believing the right things.
And they give their money to Joel Osteen, and he buys tens of millions of dollars.
Good. This motherfucker.
Oh, he is like the worst person in the world. Maybe not, but he's in the discussion.
Yeah, him and Creflo Dollar are neck and neck. Oh my gosh. Sorry, it got real deep there for a second.
Hey, talking about mental issues will do that.
Yeah.
They're not happy subjects typically.
Yeah.
Somebody who has the problem of being excessively happy doesn't, I imagine, have to worry about killing themselves.
They're also delusional and probably going to kill someone. Because if you're excessively happy all the time, there is something wrong with you.
Well, I'm just hypothesizing that if there's a chemical imbalance one way, there'll probably be a chemical imbalance the other way.
You know who's happy all the time? The Joker.
Is that a reference to Halloween again?
Oh no. But yeah, back to Alex's story and Mormonism. Oh my gosh! As I read more, this is just and I'm going to post a link to these stories on the description. I'm going to do it this time. The last time I put up the story without putting up the links, I'm an idiot and I apologize to any listeners. You may rain down your hate upon me. I will take it. But
you deserve it. You know it.
Shut your mouth. But I will post the links for the stories in the description. So Holly, don't kill me.
On a much, much lighter note, I just accidentally punched myself in the face with my very expensive wine bottle opener.
That's what happens when you try to drink the whole thing in the podcast.
Don't drink in podcast, people. You'll hit yourself in the face.
Like, it hurts right now. That's why we should let children drink. I'm why. Children have no place.
Children have no place in the liquor store. My. Oh my
We're going
gosh.
to talk about the gun lady.
Oh yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm sorry. My mind is still on this poor Alex girl. Go.
Oh yeah.
Whoever's listening to this, get a chance. Go read this book. Go look it up. I haven't picked up a copy of it. I mean, I just found out about it, but man, go read the book. Go get the book. I'm plugging a book these people don't even know I exist, but go get the book. They're not paying me for this. It's called Saving Alex. But yeah. And this is a story. This next story is something that Dasha wanted us to talk about last week, and we just kind of forgot. And once again, blame me because I'm an idiot. But
I don't think that was your fault. She did kind of leave early last week.
Yeah, she left. So blame her.
Whatever.
Rakeem's like, oh wait, I can blame her for this one.
But it's you take the helm on this one.
Okay. So it's basically this woman who I don't have a link up, so I can't really tell you her name. But she's a pro gun owner. Like, her Facebook is just full of her saying even my 4-year-olds know how to handle a gun. And I guess she just, tried to prove herself right and prove us wrong when her 4-year-old shot her in the back and the shoulder. She's fine, and she went to the hospital and everything, and basically was a statement saying she still stands behind her beliefs. It will change nothing in her life.
Okay, first of all, I don't mean to laugh, but
Not even going to change the fact that you leave your gun in range of your 4-year-old. You're not even going to change that.
If I'm not mistaken, it was the backseat of the car, right?
Yeah, it was in the backseat of his car,
yeah.
right next to the car seat. The baby picked it up, and he shot Mama. And the great thing about the story is the baby didn't get shot. The bad thing about this is Mama learned nothing. And I heard that social services were getting involved. I'm not sure if they are, but they should. And yeah, just this. Oh, one more other thing is that the gun in question is a gun that has a safety on it, and apparently she just doesn't know how to put a safety on next to her 4-year-old. So
her Facebook page, that Jamie Guilt for Gun Sense that she has, since this has happened, her Facebook page is no longer available either. So I don't know if she's, maybe it's just for me, but I haven't been able to pull it up. But I also wonder if she's released a statement at all. I don't know if anybody knows anything about that. But that would be kind of interesting to hear what she's got to say now.
Yeah, I think all the other pro-gun users are like, I don't think you can stand for us anymore. I think you need to take this down.
Like, what gets me is, first of all, how do you not get it? Like, after this happens to you, of course, you just got shot by your toddler. But I've seen people get arrested for much less on child endangerment because she had a loaded weapon with the safety off next to her child.
In reach of her child, yeah.
How do you not go to jail for that? Like,
It's Florida. That's how you don't go to jail for that.
I have to share. I'm including it. I'm sending it to you now, Rakeem, for you to put it in the description. It is favorite articles I've ever read, sort of parroting the whole gun issue. Because a lot of times, this wasn't a mass shooting, but like people use these types of things to like talk about shootings and how like miseducation and stuff. And when it's like mass shootings and stuff, people are always like, "Oh, it's a sin issue, not a gun issue."
mm-hmm.
And Benjamin Corey is a writer for Pathos, and he wrote an article saying when toddlers shoot people, it's because they're sinful, because you can explain to a toddler not to touch it. I mean, this is very much satire. By saying, like, it's just the child being naughty. because you point at the child, it's like, you don't touch this gun, and then the child disobeys. So it's not a gun problem, it's a child being horrible. And it's a wonderful little article that I think everyone should go and read. Because it's about toddlers killing.
I definitely agree with that. I agree with that. Guns don't kill people. Babies kill people.
Maybe we should
Hey,
stop.
for
just
hard
stop-
human history, that was true.
Maybe we should stop giving them toy guns. Maybe they can't tell the difference.
I think I'm becoming anti-baby. I'm gonna start an anti-baby campaign. I want babies banned.
It'd be better for the world.
Do you think this has anything to do with, and I don't want to bring this up and create another issue, but violence in in television and stuff like that? Do you think that issue will come up?
I don't know. Like, I watched Power Rangers as a kid and very, very violent shows, and I knew not to touch a gun and shoot someone, so I don't know.
For me, that stuff on the parents, but someone's always going to bring that up. I just wonder if this now that we've seen this multiple times, if that's gonna
No, somebody's gonna bring it up.
that gunship.
But
Something like that.
you know what? And in response to that, it's like, oh, the kids are probably just saw the violence on TV and just gonna, even at a young age, they're gonna reenact it. First of all, like, generally we know that's not true, but it's been proven time and time and time again. Second, these regular crazy motherfuckers out here shooting people, they didn't learn it on TV. And if they learned it on TV, these adults, then we need to put some limits on what adults are watching on TV.
I think I missed that episode.
Don't do that, because then Game of Thrones definitely get cut.
Oh yeah. No, Game of Thrones made me want. That's why I don't watch Game of Thrones. I'm afraid it's gonna make me gonna go stab someone with a sword.
Let's not bring up your mistake of not watching Game of Thrones with 3 people who support it.
That's not being discussed.
You're evil and you're wrong, Rakeem.
It's not being
That's
discussed.
why you need
guys.
Jesus.
Shut up. Okay. But yeah, no, I mean, if they're gonna bring up violence, and oh my god, if they're gonna bring up violence on television as the cause for something like that,
well, technically, this is violence at home because she was pro-gun, and she had many pictures of herself shooting and posing with guns all the time.
And telling your child this is a good thing.
And telling your kid this is a good thing. So basically, her child watched her and imitated her actions. She is completely responsible for this because she chose not to be responsible with her guns.
Yeah.
And we keep calling it an accident, of course, that it happened, and in some ways it is, but it's hard to call anything an accident when it's something that's caused by
prevention.
Yeah, your actions.
Easily preventable things.
Maybe the kid is like
Yeah,
for blood control and was just making a choice.
I'm sure those thoughts enter the mind of a 4-year-old.
He may be advanced.
I just know we do not have a gun in my house back at home. I have a special needs brother, and even if we kept that thing under lock and key, thumbprint, retina scan, safe for it, something would happen. And
of course.
And we just don't even bother bringing it into the house because like you said, if even it's an accident, but it could have been prevented.
Exactly.
And it's same thing on this issue, just on other side, I guess. She brought the gun into her house as opposed to my family, and this is what happens, and I don't know.
That's the problem with a lot of. Once again, if you're pro-gun, that's your thing. Hey, do it. But the problem, there comes a problem with some of these people where they get, instead of being pro-gun, they're gun sexual. Yeah. And they fall in love with the gun, and they get so caught up with what they're doing, they just forget how to be safe-minded people, and they just want their gun near them at all time, and because they want to caress it and love it and fondle it, and
It makes them feel stronger.
yeah.
God, if it starts talking back to the people in a sexual way, I think guns need to be put down. But
Yeah, like, and that's yeah, go for it. Sorry, go ahead.
My father has an incredibly large collection of guns, and if he ends up passing them on to me, I feel very conflicted because I cannot personally own a gun. Just because of, like, I mean, we just discussed the whole mental issues. I do not trust myself to have a gun. I am I am a risk to myself if I have a gun. But at the same time, I don't want to sell them and have these guns be in the open marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
why don't you donate
So
to like
do I have to keep them?
Holly?
You
You asked a question I couldn't hear. Can you ask again?
Go ahead. No, you were having some technical issues there. You went out.
Oh, okay. Where did you lose me? Sorry, I'm having some issues with my tablet.
Open market. You don't want these
Oh,
guns.
so I have to choose whether to keep these, like, yeah, I have to choose whether to sell these guns and allow them to possibly get into the hands of someone, of anyone really, because I have a lot of fear of guns. Or I have to keep these guns where they are a very literal danger to myself. I guess the third option is to destroy them, but I'm not sure even how you do that. You can't, like, just
There
throw them away.
are
There's
every now
gun
and then
machines.
government buybacks for guns where they'll be destroyed after they buy them, but the NRA doesn't like those, so you'd be kind of hard to find one.
Especially in Mississippi.
Or you could find like a gun museum or something and donate them and have like your own little wing there. In your family thing.
Hey, gun museum, because those are plentiful.
Hey, it's an
There's
option.
I am. There's a progressive Christian leader who I very much adore named Shane Claiborne, and he lives in Philadelphia. And they do gun buybacks very regularly, and they literally turn them into farming tools. Like
So they beat their guns in the plowshares?
They do.
Holy shit!
That is
Isn't that
awesome.
amazing?
That is okay. That is incredible. That
Pretty ingenious.
clap.
I highly recommend people read Shane Claiborne. I obviously I'm no longer Christian, but when I was, his book, The Irresistible Revolution, completely changed my life because he lives his life in such a genuine manner. Like he reads the Bible like he believes it's true, and he actually just lives in such a kind, sort of precious way that I feel like even people who aren't religious could learn from.
Faith of a child, as Jesus would say.
Yeah, but he's a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
Dreadlocks.
Hey, look, anybody that's trying to do good in the world, I don't care if you're religious or not, hey, you got my vote. That is amazing. The guns to farming tools. That's wow. That's a positive note to bring the podcast back up, because we've talked about some dark shit today. Oh, we went down a path, but that thank you for bringing it back up. I needed that. Needed some positivity.
That's nice to know that people are finding their alternatives too. You know, there are more options for you than just, well, do I keep them and you know, potentially put myself at risk, or just throw them out or you know, send them off to somebody else who could risk 1 to 1 million more people with them. You know, gives other options for people. That's great.
That is, and it's helpful. We need more farms, guys. World's running out of food, especially from. Wouldn't you agree, Miss soon-to-be vegan Holly?
The world's not running out of food. We actually produce enough food for everyone in the world to be fed. It's a distribution issue.
Well, of course.
With a lot of corruption at the helm of it. I can talk about that for a long time, actually. If y'all ever want to get into like animal ethics and like ethics of food distribution, I got you.
We're gonna save that. We're gonna save that for a later date, because I have a feeling we're gonna.
You want to do it in the future?
That might be once we like finally go live, because we're gonna need people. we're gonna that's gonna be a long one. Pro meat.
I'm pro meat too.
Well, I would be pro meat for the time being, up until some point in the future where we can produce or fuel our bodies that doesn't involve killing any form of life. Then I could possibly see the immorality of eating things.
I just like to eat. I'll eat whatever.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love meat. Like, I adore meat. But I just have a lot of ethical issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
That I can no longer justify to myself.
I heard my potato squealing the other day when I was boiling it, so I had to stop.
That was lame.
It was screaming.
This is a lame joke. That was really
That
bad.
wasn't a good joke. I mean,
Okay.
me and Dash are on the same point here. That was a good joke. You tried.
They all can't be winners. Damn. I'm done. I quit.
Miss 100% of the shots you don't take, I guess.
Yeah, I'm walking off this podcast
Somebody
today.
will appreciate your joke.
Somebody
Don't
will
worry.
laugh. Damn it. Hopefully, one person.
I hope literally no one does.
Oh, the
no
one
one.
listener that
I
gets
hope
this,
people leave comments about
find
how
me.
something that joke was.
please. The one listener that gets this, find me, because we're gonna be friends.
I hope you get hate mail from that joke.
Yeah,
I hope you get
out
aggressive.
of everything we've talked about today, get hate mail about your awful joke.
Send all hate
Ever
mail
tell you
to.
about the time I got an email threatening my life?
No.
What?
Why?
What
did you
do? I used to blog more regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't in recent months because of various issues. But I blog in the atheist community about, being an atheist in the South and just personal issues. And it was such a subtle email, but it was just, not very long. Basically just telling me, look behind me everywhere I go because, my time is coming and they're going to get me. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to save this email just in case. And I hope they don't kill me. I didn't change anything in my life because, they're going to kill me. But it was just so shocking to me that, someone could dislike my words enough to send me a death threat. Because I can't even imagine sending, what pisses you off enough to send a death threat?
If they were Christian, just tell them that their God was watching them.
I don't understand why, you can get death threats for not your beliefs, but when someone affiliated with Christian, it's okay, I mean, I'm sure they probably get death threats too at some point in their lives, but still.
Yeah, but
it
would be a whole issue of persecution, because it always is. It always becomes a whole issue of persecution when a religious person gets, somebody has a death threat against a religious person, but an atheist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's oh, well, whatever, and I've seen that a whole lot, and that really bothered me going from Christian to atheist, because even me back then was just honestly, anytime when somebody was said something that may have been opposing my beliefs and yada yada yada, I would be oh, it's persecution, just the Bible says we're going to persecute and carry your cross like Christ and all that jive. And everybody was all up in arms with it when that was, but after becoming an atheist and seeing the threats the other way around, and a lot of the time the threats are usually more visceral, and so much more numerous too. I mean, but that's because there are, of course, more religious people than atheists, but the threats just seem they always seem more visceral as an atheist. When people say, I think Steve Harvey said atheists should be taken out in the street and shot. Why is that not a controversial statement? Like, how does his career not be over after that? But he said it, and he's up here hosting awards and Family Feud and...
Because he has a whole Christian following behind him who will support his words.
Exactly.
Well, we're behind it. Why don't we just take all the Jews out and shoot them, and then we can have the Holocaust all...
Trump 2016.
You know, that just...
We like the Jews because the Jews are Jesus' God-chosen people, so we like the Jews.
Yeah, true.
You know, if we don't like the Jews, then we don't like God. So we heart the Jews.
The atheists and the Muslims are the ones, though. I mean, every Muslim should be taken out in the street and shot because they're terrorists, and all the atheists just want to, worship the devil and destroy Christianity. So we should, of course, be taken out and curb stomped. And that's fucked.
Nothing like happy thoughts.
Yeah,
what happened? I know.
Damn, the positivity went back. Shit. This is what happens. I think Dasher tagged out on
very happy, different note. I went and picked up my dog today from my parents because I went to Virginia last week, and they kept my dog, and she is sleeping at my feet, and she's very cute. Is that positive?
That's positive.
Am I good?
Any more positive notes?
Now let's get back.
Does she do that regularly, or is it just because you left her and she's feeling possessive now?
It's a little bit of both. She's very much a mama's girl. But she's been great the past couple months because I don't know who all's aware. My fiance of 7 years and I broke up in January. So she has been very clingy the past couple months. And 7 years is a lot when you're 21. I should point that out. I'm a child.
Yeah.
So she's been great.
Yep. My cat's a moody bitch.
Well, some of us don't have pets. Only pet I have is Dasher, and she's a human. So.
I had her once. They were pretty chill. Didn't really do much.
I have a cat and a dog. And they are both very clingy, and they love me more than anyone else, much to my roommate's displeasure. And it's like animals can tell when something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's weird biological reason that they sense distress, but those are just about if you've had a particularly hard day, they'll just up your ass and I'm gonna stay by mom. Mom, I'm gonna toast. Mom, your toast tastes good. Does this make you happy? It makes me happy. Are you happy yet? Kind of like children who they want to. I had a migraine around my sister. My sister's 8, and she couldn't do anything about it, so she just cleaned the house because she wanted to help in some way and she didn't know how.
Kids and animals, man, they know. They want to help. Cats are assholes, though. I mean, cats want to help sometime.
I have the best cat in the world. You've met my cat.
Yeah, your cat
is wonderful.
Your cat likes to sit on me and scratch me.
Yeah, because you're evil.
No, your cat loves getting petted. The problem is trying to remove his little ass from me is painful. I miss my cat. That's my boy. Anyway, guys, sorry we went off on pets. Naomi's being our guest, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Not really. Thanks for having me. Of course, first off, I'm excited to be your first guest, and I hope I added a little bit to the conversation, and hope I can come back again if y'all will have me to discuss a little more.
I would definitely like to have you back. What do you guys think?
Sure.
No pressure, everybody.
Dasha would agree if she was here.
Thank you.
She ran
Are
away.
we doing a poll?
Yes. Thank you, Holly. Late to the party,
I didn't know we
but
were
she
doing
showed
a poll.
up. But Naomi, we had a great time having you. Aren't you eventually going to start working on your own show?
Yeah, I'm thinking of hopefully getting into, maybe podcast or vlog or something like that, in the next year or so, trying to do something consistently, since I'm graduating, don't have much else to do,
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that will take me up the ranks, and eventually you guys will be seeing me at 11 o'clock at night, before Jimmy Fallon, but you never know.
Hey, shoot for the stars. You got this Tonight Show.
Exactly.
Tonight Show with
Hopefully.
Naomi Kennedy. Yep. Hey, we're gonna. Well,
I'll be.
hopefully we'll still be around by that time. We'll, give you all the shout outs you need, and we know as you start, getting up there and doing your own thing. Hey, we're always around if you wanna have us on, and we're gonna constantly give you shout outs. So.
Great, yeah, sounds good, and we'll have a reunion show definitely.
Oh yeah.
On whatever form it ends up being.
Oh, hey, look, if we make it to episode 100 without being taken in by the secret government cop helicopters, hey, come back on. It'll be a nice reunion.
Sounds great.
All right. Well,
I think we're okay till at least 50 something because Trump won't take office till January.
Oh yeah, so we might be good for another year.
Good for a while.
All right, guys. So we're at the 1 hour and a half mark. It's usually about the time I try to close it up. So once again, Naomi, it was a great having you on.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And as always, this was Rakeem, JJ, Dasha, who's gone again, and Holly. And we will be seeing you guys next week. Have a good night.